and a pleasant good morning to all of you. Welcome back to another episode of Morning Quest, where there is so much to talk about today, and a lot has come in this morning from Tokyo Game Show. Some stuff that's relevant to the channel, some stuff not so much, but one of the glories of Morning Quest is that we get to explore everything, even things that might be a little more off-topic channel-wise. YouTube may not like that we do that, but we don't do this for YouTube. We do this for you beautiful men and women, sickos and normies in the chat. We've got Will's Word, Star Latte, Umbra, Falcone, Seven Hearts, Will's Word, Lands, The Artist Joint, and Saliha. So we got quite a little crew here. I see we're very mod-heavy in the chat, which is good. Keep those bastards out of here. Carly Stella's hanging out over on Twitch. What's up, Carly? Thank you for joining us from across the pond. Again, so much to discuss this morning. Going to try and keep my energy levels at morning level. Although, no promises. Anyway, before we get into it, we have a lot of trailers I want to look at, but there's a couple articles I wanted to go over. One in regards to Metaphor Refantasio. It's something that we've discussed quite a bit, so let's pull this up. Will this be better in a vertical view? No, let's do a wide view. Let's do a wide view. That makes it easier. So, Atlas reveals how long Metaphor Refantasio is compared to Persona 5. By the way, shout out to Truman2 and Game Rant for this article. Let's really just go over the key takeaways, because this is some of the stuff we've been discussing on Morning Quest, and I want to get into it a little bit more. Anyway, Metaphor Refantasio's length will be comparable to Persona 5, offering nearly 100 hours of gameplay. I love it. I hope that's the Atlas formula from now until Kingdom Come. No pun intended with Fantasio. But I do love that I can give Atlas $70 and they'll entertain me for over 100 hours. I think that's one of the best parts that studio has going for them. Next, the game will feature post-game content to keep players engaged after completing the main story. This is huge. I hope it's not just lip service, because one of the things that I think is very lacking in modern gaming is post-game. I think post-game used to be something that got a lot of attention, got a lot of focus, and devs used to want to keep you playing their game simply out of a labor of love, right? When Game Freak gave you Kanto as your post-game in Gen 2, there was no season pass for that. There was no DLC. There was no intention to sell you anything further. It was just a reward for completing the game. It was a reward for, I guess you could say, experiencing all of their hard work. So I want to see some kind of resurgence of that. I really do. I think you've seen some good steps along the way. I think Square Enix has done a good job with Final Fantasy with this. I think Rebirth offered a lot of post-game content. I think FF16 offered a lot of post-game content. I just want to see more of that, and not just from my RPGs. I want to see it more in general. But let's move on to this last bit right here, which has upset some Persona fans, but maybe I can swing them over to the other side. The decision to omit romance and Metaphor Refantasio aligns with its election premise, but offers potential benefits. So this has been, what's going on, Nick? This has been one of the major talking points, I guess, about Fantasio, is that there was not going to be any romance, there's not going to be any dating sim, something that Persona fans have gotten quite used to in their games. Now, don't get me wrong, I think one of the most fun parts about the Persona games is the dating mechanic. It's always fun to like just debate with my wife who's best girl and which girl fits into the plot best as the romance. And again, that's one of the things that actually offers good replay value. Maybe you romanced Makoto on round 1 and maybe you romance on round 2. Things like that. But I'm actually excited about this. Even though that's a mechanic I've come to enjoy in the Persona games, here's why I'm excited about it. Because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying this is a detriment to Persona, I'm saying it offers a new approach. At the end of the day, the dating mechanic means that the social links of all the female characters, not all but most, but due to the dating mechanic in Persona, the social link, which essentially is like a separate character arc for all these cast members, the social link, in one way or another, needs to bend around the main character. The social link needs to be compatible with romancing the character. So, what I think is going to be cool for Fantasio is now the female characters won't be limited to that. or the female characters now, their character arcs and their social links can now be independent of the main character and maybe give us a closer look into who they really are outside of maybe some romantic approaches that the Persona games do take. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Persona's approach. In fact, I hope they do not change it. But if Metaphor ReFantazio really is going to be the third pillar of Atlas, being Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, and then hopefully Fantasio, if this is really going to be the third pillar, it has to do things that differentiate itself from Persona. You can't just be playing Persona in the fantasy genre, or else you're going to get bored, or just go back to Persona. So I think it's an interesting approach to not have any romance with the female characters, and the male characters too, obviously. But again, now this gives their social links and their character arcs more room to breathe. Because again, in the Persona games, all those social links had to be compatible with the romance. Nothing wrong with that, but it limits what the writers can do. With this approach, they no longer have that problem. They now can tell the story they want, or tell the story with less limitations than, say, they would with Persona. Now, with that said, let's move on to some trailers. Because again, we don't have many articles to discuss today, but there are quite a few trailers that dropped. So let's mosey on over here, and let's go over one that I find particularly exciting. Let's boot this up. Oh, geez. I gotta fix this. But that's okay. We will fix it in real time. Not a problem. Okay. Let's just pull you up a bit. And then we can let this rip. Okay. Here we go. Excuse me. This is the Stellar Blade Nier crossover announcement. So I'm excited to actually check this out. And here, since I'm a little smaller, we can make chat on screen a little bit bigger. How's that, guys? All right, let's let this roll. Let's put on the sound for you guys. Okay, one thing I do like that's becoming industry standard is photo mode. I'm actually delighted to see this coming to more games. Because this is one of those things that can make your playthrough more fun and a little bit more easygoing. I swear to God if I get a strike because of this song, but anyway. And that's cool too, that you could do. I like this kind of stuff because don't get me wrong, the game does a good job of fleshing out its characters, fleshing out its story. But one of the things I love about something like this is it kind of lets you tell your own story a little bit. You know what I mean? It kind of lets you create your own sort of like scrapbook of memories of your playthrough. It gives you a little bit of you got to finish the game, bro. Dude, I know I'm right up at the end. I'm right up to the end. But I'll tell you this, them announcing this Nier crossover, it's got to happen now. It's got to happen now. Let's keep this going. Just another thing, the soundtrack of Stellar Blade was incredible, and I hope it gets nominated. Yes, I mean, come on, she's never looked better. Although maybe she looked better in Soul Calibur. I'm not biased or anything. The Nier crossover has made me want to play Stellar Blade now. Carly, I think you would really like it. I think you would really like it. It was a lot of fun. The story is good. I got to see how it ends, but the story is good. The characters are enjoyable. It doesn't try to do too much with its story. It really doesn't. And I can appreciate that approach because not every writer needs to write Lord of the Rings. Sometimes you could just write a good, fun story. Will says, I need to play Automata. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. Unbelievable. I mean, you gotta give Nier credit for all the crossovers. I wonder if this is gonna be canon, because Yoko Taro is a sicko. You guys think Nomura is a sicko? Yoko Taro is a sicko. So just in the way that technically the FF14 crossover is canon, I would love if they made this Stellar Blade crossover canon. Just saying. Just saying, I think that would be awesome. But anyway, I thought that was a very exciting announcement. Again, all collaborations, you know, have the prospect of something exciting. There were always a lot of comparisons to Stellar Blade when it came to Nier Automata. So it's cool to see the two of them cross over. Okay, this next trailer is one that came from the State of Play as well. This one is wild. We got the sequel to Ghosts of Tsushima. Let's check it out. I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing, but let's definitely tune in for a bit. Let me just take a note and say I did play Ghost of Tsushima. I got to it about a year late, which is probably what I'm going to do with this game, but it was another one of those games that, you know, I wish more games got the love and appreciation that Ghost of Tsushima got in its development. I'll leave it at that. We'll have plenty to talk about here.
We are beyond the edge of Japan. People come north to disappear. But you are hunting.
You know something? That was the other thing, 1603. So this is about 300 years in the future from Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not going to lie, and we'll get to it as the trailer rolls on. I would have preferred we get a direct sequel, but there's no reason we can't get a direct sequel somewhere down the line. And I only say that because I really liked Jin Sakai. But let's keep it rolling.
And now, every Ronin here is after you. Still think you're the hunter?
So from the little bit I can gather, I guess she's got a bounty on her head. Treehouse is here. What up, Tree? I hope your doctor's appointment went well, by the way, dude. Soundtrack already killing it. This is something else, too, is that Sucker Punch, man, their visual landscapes are a work of art. The visual landscapes in Ghost of Tsushima and now what we can see from Ghost of Yotei are literally a work of art. And that's what I mean right there. Perfect pause. That landscape. Have you seen a better landscape in gaming? Have you? All right, so Ghost of Yotei, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, honestly looks pretty fun. I wish they would have shown a little more gameplay, but honestly, Sucker Punch has won me over with their gameplay a long time ago. This looks fun. I don't know how else to put it. I think there is the part of me where I did want them to keep Jin Sakai going, because I like to see like new characters come to the forefront and establish new IP. But I can also respect this approach where they maybe want to make a little bit more of an anthology. And again, I really enjoyed the characters in Tsushima. I hope Yotei, the characters, can be comparable, just as good. Protagonist looks cool. The whole wolf motif looks cool. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it. They didn't show us too much. More of an announcement trailer, but honestly, I think it's exciting stuff. Sucker Punch was very successful. I hope they continue to be successful. This is an industry that's struggling, and when studios like Sucker Punch tend to be successful, they have the opportunity to set a new standard. You know what I mean? Again, the industry is struggling, so don't think for 1 minute that every studio isn't looking at Black Myth Wukong and figuring out what to do. Sucker Punch can do something similar, where they can absolutely kill it like they did the first time around, and the whole industry will turn to them and allow them to set the new standard. Those 2 mountain shots are incredible, weren't they? Like, absolutely insane. All right, I was going to move on to Tekken, but let's actually go to a Tokyo Game Show announcement. Let's actually go to a Tokyo Game Show announcement, because this was pretty nuts. All right, let's pull this up. What if I told you guys that while we were sleeping, while we slumbered, a new Metal Gear was announced?
Just because soldiers are on the same side right now doesn't mean they always will be. Politics determine who you face on the battlefield.
Is that why you abandoned me?
The only thing we can believe in with absolute certainty is the mission.
Your mission is to retrieve Dr. Sokolov.
You mean the Soviets pulled out of Cuba just to get their hands on Sokolov?
That's right.
What the hell was he working on?
Yeah, so we got some Cold War stuff going on here.
Are you one of Vulcan's men?
No. I've come to escort you back to the...
Whoa! I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure I like the way Snake looks. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's an angle. Maybe it's because it's an early trailer. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure I'm crazy about the way he looks here. We'll keep it going.
The other side of the Iron Curtain. That's what they were making you build?
Yes, the Shagohod.
A nuclear-equipped tank capable of operating solo.
If it is completed and the Colonel gets his hands on it, it will mean the end of the Cold War.
Hold on. Hold on.
Mean the end.
Anyone else think he looks almost like a little too boxy? I don't know. I'm not going to be too picky about it.
Of the Cold War. And then the Age of Fear will truly begin.
A world war.
An ocelot never lets his prey escape.
Sokolov was being guarded by the KGB and hunted by GRU? Snake, it sounds like this could be even hotter than Cuba.
Let me tell you why this interests me. I'm a bit of a history nerd, and I think one of the fascinating things about the Cold War is not only how long it lasted, but that it was primarily a war of information and covert ops. You know what I'm saying?
I'm defecting to the Soviet Union. Sokolov is a little gift from my new hosts.
Are we taking him with us?
No, this one is still just a child. He has not yet found an emotion to carry into battle.
Even if they are our enemies, they're still our countrymen.
But it won't be me that pulled the trigger.
Colonel!
It'll be our friend, the American defector.
People aren't the ones who dictate the missions.
Then who does?
The times.
Sorry I'm late.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I was not impressed by that trailer at all. I went into that pretty blind. I'm impressed with I like the premise, obviously Cold War and stuff. But I don't know. Look, I'm a believer that when you lose your creator and your visionary, you go downhill. This is I believe this is their first try without Kojima. And I guess I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I was a little unimpressed. There wasn't a lot of gameplay shown. I feel like there wasn't a lot of personality in any of those dialogue exchanges. Still surprised there's no release date. Yeah, I mean, it was all cinematic. It was all cinematic. I'm like, okay, if you're selling me a TV show, I guess I'm sold. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Should we break it up in the trailers? Let's break up the trailers a little bit. Let's break up the trailers a little bit. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I think the wide view will probably be best for this. Yes. So, Keanu Reeves is not only voicing Shadow in the movie. Keanu Reeves will also be voicing Shadow in Sonic Shadow Generations, which was a secret to everyone, including the devs, which you gotta respect it. I mean, look, guys, Keanu's as good as it gets when it comes to Hollywood. He's as good as it gets. He's as humble as it gets. I think more people should aspire to have the kind of public image that Keanu has. We never know who someone is behind closed doors, but needless to say, Keanu Reeves deserves the good faith that he's established in people like ourselves. But anyway, this is actually really cool. Because again, you know me, guys, I could be a stickler about it. Any sort of Hollywood infiltration into gaming, I throw up a big red flag. We can make an exception for Keanu. We can make an exception for Keanu. I mean, Cyberpunk didn't exactly go very well, but that's not his fault. That's not his fault. Anyway, this is very cool. You know, I love it when, you know, somebody gets cast for a role and they really get attached to and love the role. So I think now probably the most exciting thing about the next Sonic movie is how much Keanu Reeves enjoys this role. Because if this wasn't a role that he enjoys or wanted to do or his heart was in, he wouldn't be voicing the game as well. But yet here he is. Now, retroactively, because again, I've always felt that Tails, of all the characters in the Sonic movies, Tails is the best. He's the most game accurate, got the game voice actor and everything. Now Shadow technically has his gaming voice actor in the movie. So great chess move. Great chess move by the folks over at Sega, I gotta say. So I thought this was very exciting news. Shout out to comicbook.com and Mark Deschamps, or Descamps, I don't know. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you putting that article out there. All right. So that article aside, how much time we got? Okay, we got some time before I got to wrap up. We got at least another 15, 20 minutes. Let's talk a little bit about Tekken. I'm going to keep this on mute because it's a gameplay trailer and it's on mute. You don't need your headphones, doofus. And kind of just muse over it for a bit. So, they dropped the Hayachi gameplay trailer for Tekken, which maybe this will be enough to get me back. Because as much as I did enjoy Tekken, I platinumed it for God's sake. Since platinuming it, I've struggled to go back. Now, back in the day, Hayachi was my main. He wasn't in the game at launch, so I played as his granddaughter, Reina, because they both use Mishima style, so it was familiar. But now Hayachi's back, so it's like I got my main back. I don't know if this will be enough to get me in, just because I got so used to Reina. But it's good to see him back. He's an absolute icon. I know they tried to play it off like he was dead in the Tekken story, but I don't know, man. I never bought it. I thought at the very least he'd be back in the next game. But they brought him back even earlier. And again, we've talked about this on Morning Quest before when he initially got announced, but dude, the story of Tekken is so silly that I think people complaining about the lore of bringing Mishima back need to kind of chill. Because again, I don't know too much about Tekken, but I played through the full story in Tekken 8, and it's goofy. It's goofy at its core. It's goofy at heart, and I don't know. But he looks fun to play as. He's never looked better, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles. Again, I always saw him as Tekken's main icon. I know a lot of people see Kazuya, or some people see Jin. I don't know, man. To me, it was always Hayachi. It was always Hayachi Mishima for me. But it's good to see him back. Can't wait to see what they cook up with him. And any new story scenario that they add, including him now. But let's keep this moving. I still have a lot that I want to discuss. Let's pull up. Yeah, so let's talk about this. There's this new game that got dropped called Threads of Time. I only ever saw like a quick thumbnail of it. I really don't know anything about this game, but I think it got announced today, or at least shown off at Tokyo Game Show this morning. So let's check this out. This looks, from the little bit I saw, it looks pretty cool. 90 seconds from now, I might be shitting on it, but we'll see.
I saw you long before your quest began, hero. I saw you before you threw open the doors of time and space and turned the world on its head.
I will say I'm a fan of, I wish more cutscenes were like, for lack of a better term, like anime oriented. What I really mean is giving this sort of art style where obviously this is computer generated, but it has the art style of something that was hand drawn. I wish more cutscenes were like that. I think games, and this is very true for a lot of the games I love, I feel like they're leaning so hard into like fully rendered 3D CGI Pixar looking models, when really I would love for more cutscenes. It's one of the things I love about Persona. I would love for more cutscenes to take this approach. But let's keep this going.
Let me show you a glimpse of what I saw.
See, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Whoa, 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 whoa. Dial it back. Did you see the way that cutscene transitioned into gameplay? Did you all just see that? Maybe I'm tripping. But did you just see that? The way it went from this sort of hand-drawn looking animation and just like switched into the pixel art? Hold on. Watch that again.
Let me show you
Look at that.
a glimpse of what I saw.
Yeah, this looks good, man. I like the way this looks. And I like the sprites. And again, I love the sort of sprites we're seeing come out of a lot of Square Enix's HD2Ds, your Octopaths and your Dragon Quests. But there's something so unique about these sprites. Okay, I'm sorry. Can we do that again? Can we do that again? Can we do that again? Did you see the way the camera was moving during the battle sequence? Look at the angle of your party members. This is actually impressing me a lot more than I thought it would. And you see, this kind of cutscene is awesome. And that transition. Ah, so this is almost Chrono Trigger-esque, where you're going to be hopping around different time periods and I guess cleaning shit up. But this is sick, dude. Oh, like, this is what I mean, too. The sort of, lack of a better term, the sort of cinematography of these, like, camera angles during the battles. Very Chrono Trigger meets Star Ocean. I'm here for it, right? This is interesting.
prepare to remake history.
This is pretty cool. Ah, campfire scene. You know how to get me. Wishlist it? Hold on, let's turn the closed captions off. Just PC and Xbox? That's the worst thing about this announcement by far. I will say, though, that really impressed me. That really impressed me. I actually think that's more impressive than the Dragon Quest remakes. Because there was a lot of innovation there. The sprites have a sort of like a new look to them. The animated cutscenes being in a sort of more hand-drawn style. Obviously, they're computer-generated, but having that more hand-drawn style. The way the camera moves during the battle sequences. I don't know, man. I don't know. This again, I plucked this last minute because I saw a thumbnail when I was getting things ready this morning. This might be my favorite thing we've talked about this morning. That was freaking cool, man. Like, that's the kind of game I hunger for. That is the kind of game I hunger for. This, like, literally, I almost feel like just between the animated cutscenes and the pixel art and the turn-based combat, I don't know, man. I'm bugging. That was... We're going to keep an eye on this one, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to keep an eye on this one. I'm still congested, man. All right. Okay. Let's swing back to an article now. I've got... How much time we got? I got about 10 minutes. Okay. I got 10 minutes, and I've got an article and a trailer. Well, apparently a dev on Reddit said they'd love to be wherever their fans are, so there's a chance it could come to Sony and Nintendo. You know, depending how transparent and open these devs are with chatting with people, I might try and get them on the podcast, because that was remarkable. Okay, let's pull this up. So I wanted to talk about this briefly because I love this so much. Anyway, let's bring it up. Kingdom Hearts creator comments on ugly characters in video games. So, by the way, shout out to Game Rant for putting this up. Let's just do the key takeaways. A high school friend complained about the protagonist in a game being unattractive, and Nomura credits this as the reason he only creates more attractive characters. Beast! So, look. This is a conversation that comes up in the gaming world quite a lot. And I think one side of this often gets strawmanned a little bit. And it's funny we brought up Stellar Blade, because I'm glad Stellar Blade is a topic of discussion today, because I think it's a prime example of this. I think when people say, like myself or Nomura, say that we want a lot of our playable characters to be attractive. Both the men and the women. I want the men I'm playing as to be, forthright and like handsome. And I mean, it's a whole James Bond sort of approach, right? Like, so let's take it to Eve and Stellar Blade. When somebody like myself says that we like that Eve is attractive, think of the way Nomura is taking this approach. It's not very different from how he designs his characters. I really do believe, guys, that at the end of the day, when you leave yourself for whatever reason, whether you open a book, whether you play a game, whether you go to church, whether you go to a sporting event, a concert, any one of these things, what they have in common is that the person is chasing an experience that shows them an ideal, some sort of ideal, right? And video games aren't any different from that, right? It's great that Aqua is beautiful. We love that Aqua is beautiful. Both men and women love that. And the sort of same approach goes for Eve. Did they give Eve a really nice butt on purpose? Yes. But the truth is, that's not just what gamers want, that's what the designers want. Don't think Nomura would have done it any differently. And we've seen in the past with his designs too, right? So I'm glad Nomura said this, because I think when there's a straw man out there for when people say they like Eve as a protagonist or they like that approach, they think it's some sort of gooner comment or coomer, right? You're just looking for some softcore corn, let's say. But that's not the case. The truth is we want to look at something beautiful, right? It's why men love Hercules. You know, we aspire to be like Hercules. We aspire to be like Goku. I'll never have the body or the musculature that Goku has. But when I go on my runs, you better believe I'm thinking of those moments from DBZ where he never gave up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, these are the things that people are pursuing. We're all pursuing, you know, an ideal to strive towards. And there's nothing wrong with beauty, be it feminine beauty or masculine beauty, being portrayed through a video game protagonist, and Nomura understands that. If you don't think for 1 minute Nomura's, and I'm speaking to my audience because we're very Nomura focused here, at least in the games that we cover. If you don't think for 1 minute the beauty of Nomura's characters aren't what drew you into his worlds, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. So when I see other studios like, oh God, I'm blanking. Somebody in the chat, please name the studio that made Stellar Blade. Shift Up, that was it. So when Shift Up makes a very attractive character their lead, think of Nomura's approach. It's not always for the gooners and the coomers and the guys who can't control where they put their hands. It's for you and me too. It's for the adults in the room too, who, again, just like you're looking for a beautiful landscape in your game, just like you're looking for those beautiful graphics, you also want beautiful characters. And that goes both ways for men and women. But yeah, I was happy to see Nomura say that because I'm glad I'll be able to cite this article. Because again, it doesn't always come down to, again, it's not always a sexual thing, wanting a beautiful character. It's not always a sexual thing. It can be, it can, just like you want to see a beautiful mountain or a beautiful landscape, it can apply the same way. It can apply the same way. If you don't think Tifa and Cloud make one of the most beautiful couples in gaming, if you don't think Clive and Jill make one of the most beautiful couples in gaming, I got news for you. Anyway, let's, how much time we got? We got a little bit of time. Let's see here. We have a Metaphor ReFantazio broadcast trailer. So what's going on, Luz? So we got a little bit of Metaphor before we wrap up today. You mean Cloud and Aerith? No, I don't mean Cloud and Aerith. Because in order to be together, you both have to be alive. I'll leave it at that. I will never apologize for my stance on that. I'm not a shipper, but I can acknowledge, you know, where a story goes. Now, let's roll. Hey, see what I mean? Like, right here into Metaphor, I want more of this. Cutscenes that look like this. Not, I like the 3D rendered stuff. I like the 3D rendered stuff, but like, I love this more. I think this looks better and looks cleaner. And it's probably way cheaper than those crazy pre-rendered cutscenes we're getting in Final Fantasy games lately. And that's the other thing too. It's a weird way to pause. But one of the reasons why I think Atlas is probably, in my opinion, if you're launching a video game production company or a development studio, you should model your business after Atlas. Because in a world with bloated budgets and games that are selling millions of copies but failing, Atlas has found a way to keep their budgets in check, sell millions of copies, and profit like they've never profited before. And part of it is that making a cutscene like this is, it's expensive, but it's a lot cheaper than those like 3D pre-rendered cutscenes you're getting in a lot of AAA studios now. Let's keep this going. And you got to think about that too. This is a studio that's been around 35 years. 35 years. And they're at their best now. Who can you say that for? Who can you say that for? A lot of these studios that have been around for decades, who's at their all-time best right now, other than Atlas? Maybe Capcom. Maybe. But nobody else is caking like Atlas. World of Final Fantasy had similar animated style cutscenes. Yeah, they're the best. They're the best. I love them. Been hearing mixed things about the demo for this game. I personally am not interested in the game, but haven't looked into the whys yet. We'll see. I'll definitely let you know how I feel about it. Excuse me, the coffee's coming up. But I'm going to skip the demo because I know I'm a day one buy. From Software? How long has From Software been around? But Monolith Soft came from like Squaresoft. I mean, but that was 2 decades ago, so I see your point. Are they really at an all-time best? Because I will say that's impressive. If you could be caking now like you've never caked before, it's impressive. Because again, the industry is struggling. So for studios like Capcom, From Software, Monolith, they're the studios to watch. And honestly, what I think they all have in common is they're learning how to keep their budgets in check, right? It's not just about it's not just about porting things to PC and porting things everywhere. You have to keep your budgets in check. You have to. Oh, this is so sick. Almost there, baby. Almost there. Let's see here. Prologue demo. I'm going to skip again. Like I mentioned, I'm going to skip the demo. The song slaps so hard. I know, right? Right, Star Latte? I couldn't help but dance. What can I say? I couldn't help but dance. All right. Let me throw this in the chat. Let's hit live on this. Let's see where they're at, see what they're discussing. So, interestingly enough, Atlas and Sega are presenting right now. Oh, it just ended. Okay. It just ended. That is hilarious. Okay, so I think Square Enix is up at some point today. But let's wrap it up here. What's this? From South was established in the 90s. Ooh. Good for them. No, it's impressive then, because I will say we've talked about a lot how the industry's struggling. So any studio that's at their best right now, they're the ones to watch. Square Enix is going now? Okay. Well, then it's a perfect time for us to wrap up. If you're hanging out on Twitch, please stick around for the raid. We've got a good little crew here. Is anyone I'm following even streaming? Yes. Oh, check it out. The Radiant Gardeners. All right. Please stick around for the raid on Twitch. We're going to raid the Radiant Gardeners as they are streaming this morning. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Y'all are the best. Probably will be live with a Nuzlocke later today, but depending on what Square Enix announces, there could be a podcast. We'll see. But I'm going to try my best to go live later tonight with some fun. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Y'all the best. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. We're going to be hanging out. Peace out, everybody. See you next time.